Hey everyone, I thought I'd pop in with a quick explainer video about mistakes we might make when we think about Aristotle's ideas about ethos. On the surface of it, it feels like ethos is a really cut and dry, simple concept. Speakers are trying to get audiences to like them, and they seem very trustworthy, they seem credible on a particular subject. Audiences are assessing the trustworthiness and credibility of the speaker in real time, and that is the transaction. But that's only the surface level transaction of what Aristotle's talking about. Aristotle thought that audiences' senses of speakers, and of course in our own modern age, writers and people on television and YouTube and our phones and so forth, it's a little bit more of a complicated transaction than just, do I like this person? Is this person trustworthy? Is this person credible? Is this person like me? Do I perceive us to have conflicting or similar interests? In fact, he thought it was a three-step process, right? So ethos he subdivides into three different categories. We're talking about phronesis or good sense. We're talking about eunoia or goodwill towards the audience, or arete, which is character or virtue. Let's start with the first one. Phronesis was the audience's judgment about whether or not the speaker was credible on the subject. Did they have good sense? Did they have good wisdom about this particular issue? All of us have been in a circumstance in which we are sort of wowed by somebody's knowledge of physics or the internal workings of a combustion engine. And it just seems like this person's phronesis on this particular subject is off the charts. This nerd is really giving us a lot of good information about a combustion engine and seems quite trustworthy on the subject. And so I would listen to this person speak about other kinds of combustion engines or air filters and all sorts of stuff. But we've also been in a circumstance, I was in one very recently, as a matter of fact, at a neighborhood barbecue where somebody was holding forth on the United States' role in the geopolitics of Southeast Asia, and I was thinking to myself, I just don't think you know what you're talking about on this particular issue. So that's the first type of judgment the audience makes that Aristotle says speakers and persuaders need to be knowledgeable about, which is the phronesis or good sense. Does the person know what they're talking about? The second one is about character, what Aristotle in ancient Greek called arete. And this essentially means like, do I trust this person as an individual, right? So many of us have been in high pressure sales situations in which the things a person is saying, the salesperson in this particular example, make a lot of sense, right? Maybe I do need a new mattress. Maybe this is a particularly soft mattress. Maybe this mattress was made with high-end, sustainable, renewable ingredients that won't end up in the Pacific Ocean landfill and so forth and so on. But at the same time, the ways in which this information is coming across is in such a high-pressure sales environment that it feels like I'm missing something. I'm just not sure whether I can trust what this individual says, even though the things that they're saying are making a good bit of sense to me, if everybody's following me on this, right? So phronesis is good sense. Do you know what you're talking about? Arete is about the person's character, perhaps their willingness to embellish or their willingness to lie, or perhaps they have some other reason or some other ulterior motive for being involved. And then the final issue is not just character, but goodwill specifically towards the audience, because all of us can imagine a scenario in which a person we don't particularly trust in every walk of life, but we also feel like we have a special bond with that person and that person is looking out for us. For instance, I have a cousin who I'm particularly close to, and I think always has my personal best interests in heart. I don't particularly think this person is a very good person in general. I think this person would lie and cheat to get ahead in lots of different circumstances. But on this final scale, what Aristotle called eunoia, which is goodwill towards the audience or goodwill towards you as the listener, I would trust this person infinitely, right? So this person's phronesis, good sense about the issue in the world, my hypothetical cousin, no, not so hypothetical cousin, is pretty low, right? This person's phronesis is pretty low. I don't think this person is an expert on any particular issue. And secondarily, I think this person's arete, which is character, is questionable in lots of circumstances, but on one of the essential characteristics, which is goodwill towards me, or what he called eunoia, off the charts. So obviously you don't want to be like my hypothetical cousin in Aristotle's point of view. What you want to do is maximize the audience's sense of all three of these things at the same time, which is phronesis, which is arete, character, which is eunoia, goodwill towards you. But in many circumstances, it's a little bit more realistic and a little bit more complicated than that. which is to say audiences making 3 different judgments simultaneously and then ending up with an ultimate judgment about whether or not to trust somebody and their message.